Welcome to the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. You are now part of a small underground movement of dent technicians from all over the world. We are on a mission to change our industry with innovation, intelligence, and skill. But because we don't rely on an insurance company to steer customers our way, we need to do things different. We need to do things smarter. We do that through a network of technicians that we call the Tactical Tech Movement. Now let's get this revolution started.
Hey everybody, this is Stevie Janowski from band. You don't remember me? Only the coolest motherfuckers that listen to this show will even get that. What's up everybody? John Hiley here with the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. Chilling here with the co-host that brings you the most, Angela motherfucking Pew Pew Hiley.
No, I'm Bang Bang. You're Pew Pew.
I always forget.
I can't believe you did that. That's hilarious. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, a little Stevie Janowski for you tonight. Actually, you're going to be hearing this in the morning, but we are recording this the night before the podcast drops here on Thursday morning. As I said, I was really doubtful that we would get you out of podcast last week because we were in Colorado, and we didn't. So that didn't happen. But it's happening today. It's happening now. And we're going to talk a little bit on this podcast about the event. We got some cool stories. Also, at the end of the podcast, if you guys hang tight, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about this crazy SEO webinar that I'm going to be dropping tomorrow. So I'm going to fill you guys in on the details. And if you guys watched the last webinar that I did 2 weeks ago, this is kind of like an ongoing series. So basically it's, you get the first part and then we move on to the next part. But I'm going to tell you about the next part at the end of this podcast and kind of fill you in on the details of like how crucial and how critical, some of these different steps that you can be doing in your company.
Are you going to be doing it on your page or Dent Trainer?
I'm going to try to do it on the Dent Trainer Facebook page. As many of you guys know, we talked about this last show. For some reason, literally, I went and launched inside of the Dent Trainer page. Facebook signed me out and then told me that somebody hacked into my account at the exact same time that I went in there, of course. And I had to change my password. And then when I did that, it would only let me do a live video on my personal profile. So it'll be on one of the others because we are just coming back from the event. Literally just moved our whole new shop into the new location yesterday.
Yes. It's a hot mess, but that's okay.
It looks like a fucking bunch of shit just laying everywhere right now.
It's okay.
But that we're over there. We're out of the old shop. All the big shit's moved. We're into the new shop. So I did not get a chance to promote this webinar. But you guys will be getting emails, and I'll be doing some Facebook stuff tomorrow just to create awareness. Mm-hmm. And on the weeks that I am freed up, like the ones that I'm not having a massive fucking event like last week.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself.
Definitely try to get the word out a little bit more.
I enjoyed myself. And I did Google something. So like FYI, when you're at a higher altitude, you fart more and you poop less.
Oh man, I was like a farting machine. I was like fart on demand when I was out there.
Wait a minute, like what you did?
I was like farting so much that I was I would stand back at Cole's shop and the seminar would be going on, and I'll give you an example. Cole would walk by and I was sitting back in this cubby that just echoed through the whole building, and I was able to just like rip farts, and of course Cole gets shocked. And everybody turns their head at one time and is looking at me and Cole all at the same moment, even people from across the room. And they're all looking at me, and they're looking at Cole, looking shocked at me. And I look at him, and I go, "Get the fuck out of here, Cole. Don't be bringing that shit in here." And then everybody just starts laughing. So, like, perfect setup.
You did it to Trey, too.
I got Trey, farted on him, Hannah, a couple other people. It was kind of nice. It kind of reminded me when I had that one fart machine I used to carry around in my pocket. You remember?
Yeah.
And I would just walk up to people. Well, for some reason, it had like these real sensitive buttons. So if you happened to lift your leg, it would trigger the button, and it sounded so real.
You remember we were
But it was like the real version of that.
We were in the Dollar Tree, and
yes.
You had it in your pocket, and you bent over to pick up a dollar off the
And it went off, and the person behind the cash register was just like... And the guy behind me was looking together, and I just look at both of them and said, "Hey, man, you know what?
Oh, shit.
Y'all act like you ain't never fucking heard a fart before? Don't you guys occasionally accidentally fart when you bend over? You guys want to have a conversation about this? I'll have a conversation about this because I'm going to say that you're the immature ones. Both of you are immature.
Why is it like some people own it and then other people are just like, they're so embarrassed about it?
I don't know. I like to own it. I think that's the one thing where it's like, I think it's just one thing where, man, you know, people are just so surprised and you look at them like, what the fuck, man? What? I always try to keep them around. I'll try to tell them a story right after I fart and see how long they'll stand in front of me.
My face hurts.
Just see how long they'll stand in front of me.
That's disgusting.
See, my dad used to try to do that shit. He would get people to stand there, and man, he would lay some nasty ones on you. Hopefully, you guys aren't eating your breakfast burritos now. Your McDonald's breakfast burrito, because if so, you're probably going to have the farts too. That is one thing I love to eat. I'm just going to be honest with you. I ain't going to fuck around. I ain't going to bullshit you guys. I love a fucking McDonald's breakfast burrito, but you got to be ready to...
run to the nearest bathroom.
Boy, you got to be ready to run that nearest bathroom. Something about them breakfast burritos, when they hit you, they hit you. I mean, it ain't even no warning. It puts you in one of them ones where you're running to the restroom praying to God there ain't somebody in there with the door locked.
Oh, that's a hot mess. That's a hot mess right there. So
anyhow, guys, welcome to the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. Sorry we had to start it out that way.
No,
there's somebody right now eating their Chick-fil-A. Eating their...
I love Chick-fil-A.
I will tell you, have you ever ate one of them... I hate to go from this subject to this subject, but I can't leave the topic of Chick-fil-A without talking about their chicken biscuits.
I don't know if I've ever had one of them.
Oh, Lord. It's literally this delicious biscuit with chicken on it. Their chicken, their signature chicken.
Christina says the reason why their chicken's so good is because it's God's chicken.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it pisses me off when I go there. I always want to go there and eat on Sunday.
On Sunday.
And then I realize I'm like, ah, shit.
They having a day of rest.
I'm going to head on over to Kentucky Fried Chicken this Sunday.
Oh, my God.
Get them, what is that, 13 herbs and spices?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You and chicken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They try to say our food was bland, and then we hit them with 13 herbs and spices.
It always seemed like you wanted to do the salt shaker dance right there.
No, I was doing the flying elbow.
Oh, the flying elbow.
Yeah. So tons of things kind of materialized over this weekend. I got to say that our first experience whenever we actually got into Denver, number one, going to Ohio to Denver is like you're traveling in time.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we leave there at noon, but we get there at 1, and it takes us like 3 hours total.
No,
Well, I mean, sitting in the airplane, all that bullshit, you know, where you got to sit there and wait and all that shit.
It was only a 2-hour and 15-minute flight. That's not that bad.
But really, in perspective, it feels like we only lost an hour.
Yeah.
And we actually, you know, it was kind of weird because we ate lunch, and then we flew out there, and it was like it was lunch again.
Yeah, but it felt like dinner time for us.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, we ended up meeting up with Wade and Marissa after we went to the Freebird boot store, and I dropped a $400.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, it fucking was $400.
No, it wasn't. It was like $300 and something odd dollars. It wasn't
close
close
to
to
$400.
$400. No, it wasn't because their boots were. The boots were $295.
And then I had to go get my lucky shoes.
Your magical.
Magical shoes.
Yeah,
they worked, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
And that being said, we went over to Wade and Marissa's. We ended up, man, they are in a cool fucking spot down in Denver.
Yeah, I really like Denver.
It was the very first time that we ever spent any time in Denver whatsoever. Look, we don't chase hail anymore or anything like that, so I know a lot of you guys, hail guys are like, man, I'm there right now. But it was the first time we spent some time in Denver. It was cool as fuck. She takes me into a marijuana dispensary.
Oh, that place was magical. It was magical. Like most of you guys know, like I deal with anxiety and stuff like that. So when I went in there, I specifically asked them, I said, listen, I was like, I have anxiety, you know, I take medicine for it. And I was like, what do you guys recommend? extremely knowledgeable. I mean, very knowledgeable on everything that they had to offer you. And basically, they just pulled out a couple containers, some different strands, or like, here, just smell them. And whichever one that you are more attracted to, the one that your body is craving, like that's the one that you should go with. And I found one that was called Bubba Berry. And it was amazing. Like, in all honesty, I just, like, that took care of me being overwhelmed, any type of, overwhelmed, anxiety, any type of, like, it just took it all away.
Yeah, she literally smoked some of that shit and was just cool.
Yeah.
She was like feeling good, you know?
I know, just like totally just going with the flow.
That'd probably be nice when they legalize it. Like, I know they say it's legal in Ohio, but we don't have like walk-in.
For medical, yeah, we do. We have.
Oh, do we?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, they're going up all over the place. It's medical right now, but they don't have it to where you can get a card for anxiety. There's only a certain list of things that, you know, you can get your medical marijuana.
Pretty soon you'll probably be able to walk in and be like, my foot hurt.
I would rather deal with foot pain than anxiety, but yeah, I mean, like, it's not what I really expected. I thought it was just like, they're extremely very knowledgeable, just.
Yeah, you guys know, I don't know if you guys, we talked about this on previous podcasts. I don't really like the way it makes me feel. I don't like the way the shit that makes me tired makes me feel, or the stuff that speeds you up. And from my understanding, that's correct, because we were talking to them and there are several strains, and some of them actually raise your heart rate and shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the shit that I was always on. Sweaty palms, heart about ready to beat out of my chest.
Yeah.
I just, you know, me personally, it doesn't do it for me, but like that stuff like kept her cool, you know. She loved it.
It was amazing.
And it was legal.
I know.
It was the weirdest shit.
I know, it was so crazy being in there, because it's like, I know I'm allowed to be in here, but I feel like I'm not allowed to be in there. It's got such like a taboo feeling. So
we roll up out of there and we end up heading over to Wade and Marissa's, and what a cool fucking neighborhood they live in.
Yeah.
I've never if you guys haven't been to Denver, you might not understand. You guys who have been to Denver would definitely understand. But it's like a big ass city that seems like there wasn't really much to worry about crime-wise. You know, I think about walking through some of the areas of Dayton. Like, literally, so you would probably have to find an area in Denver that would be really shitty to walk through, opposed to, from what I've seen anyway, opposed to Dayton, there's only like one neighborhood that's even decent to walk through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But still questionable.
It's still questionable. It's very questionable. So that being said, it was like a laid-back city of like people walking their dogs and shit in mid-city. There was like these little neighborhoods with little hometown restaurants everywhere.
Yeah.
And their neighborhood they live in just had a cool vibe. And I mean, I understand why the real estate prices are so high over there, because it's a fucking cool place to live. And especially like where Wade lives, the house they had was really nice, but it was like very, very expensive for a smaller house. I mean, like the type of house that you could buy here at that cost would be somewhat of getting close to, 6,000-7,000 square feet in our area. But it's just, it was a cool vibe, just a great neighborhood. They had the neatest little spot up there.
Yeah, and everything was in walking distance, which I absolutely loved. So
we ended up going to some sort of taco. I find that Colorado seems to be, we ate tacos every day we were there.
Them tacos were so good.
Yeah, the ones we ate at the little place in Denver.
Yeah, with Wade.
I cannot remember. What was the name of that?
You had, I don't remember it, but I remember you had like a fried chicken taco. I had a shrimp and scallop taco and some vegetarian taco. They were just like little street tacos, but they were super duper good. Yeah.
So cool little street taco stop that we had there. And then after that, we head on up to Denver, got some rest that night.
I mean, Greeley.
Up to Greeley. I'm sorry. Head up to Greeley. And then we ended up getting some, going to bed, getting some rest that night. And the hotel that everybody that we hosted the event, and I got to give a shout out to Cole, because Cole Fox, we actually did this event at his shop.
Yeah.
And he recommended this. It was called the Homewood Suites by Hilton.
It's nice.
Very nice hotel. I was so impressed So impressed with the hotel, and the surrounding area was really nice. Had a lot of little restaurants.
Yeah.
But specifically the hotel, the fucking breakfast was amazing.
Yeah.
So even the last day on Sunday we ate there, and they had what was like homemade McMuffins in there. And just, waffles. They had, everything you could imagine at a hotel, but just better quality. The place was super clean. The staff was nice. Did not hear one complaint about the hotel. Monday through Thursday, all the Dent guys had free drinks at the bar, free dinner.
Yeah.
It was honestly like a crazy good experience at that hotel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But on top of that, of course, we had the event Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, it was just such a high level, such a high vibe at that event. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even saying this because it's my event, but I literally did not find one person that regretted going to this event. In fact, everybody was like so fucking stoked. The photos, we ended up taking photos on like 5 to 6 different vehicles.
Yeah.
We had a old Cuda. Ended up having a what was that other car? It
was a Charger in there.
Yeah, was it a Challenger, wasn't it? It was an old school Challenger that we had up in there.
Is that what
Now, both of these cars were somewhere in the $125,000 to $200,000 range.
Yeah.
Depending on which one it was.
Yeah.
We ended up having a Range Rover that we shot on. We had a Mustang that we shot on. We had Cole's Impala that we shot on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is, what is his? Is it a 64?
I thought it was a 63.
It might have been a 63 or so, but it mint condition Impala.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't have asked for a better setup because the way Cole's shop is laid out, we actually were able to shoot our photos in one room, basically controlling the background. That's the key. Yeah, if we control the background, we don't have to do as much Photoshop or editing. So you guys might hear my dog back here lopping up a bowl, but she's a heart survivor. So she can do whatever she wants.
Yes.
So that being said, the inside shop where we did the photo shoots was awesome. Cole's place was fucking awesome.
Cole and Michelle's
place was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Which she likes Cole but loves Michelle.
Oh, I gravitated towards her so easily. When I first met her, I was just like, yeah, I just gravitated towards her.
Super duper sweet person.
Super cool chick. Yeah, just a really good gal.
Yeah, they were great hosts for the event. The entire audience, all the speakers were great. Max came in from the Hill Trainer. Ryan Shutt just killed it. Mm-hmm. Matt Moore, I've never heard Matt Moore speak. I know he's probably been on other podcasts, but I don't listen to anybody else. I don't listen to a lot of other podcasts. But that being said, Matt Moore...
you can tell he's a really good guy.
He's really passionate.
Just a good
He tries
guy.
to hide himself under this nerdy impression thing, but he's not. He's such a smart... he's just a very smart, well put together business owner.
Yeah, you can tell he's
It was a pleasure having him there. Let's see, there was a guy that Charlie Milana did his first speaking engagement there.
I know,
and he was so nervous. Yeah, Charlie's a good dude.
That is he's just a good guy. He's just a really good guy.
Yeah, if you guys haven't actually checked out some of Charlie's videos on Instagram, he owns the Dent Shop. And he just does stellar video work, and he was able to show people how to do that on their iPhones. We ended up having Steve Cruz ended up speaking, and one of the coolest things about Steve Cruz, we actually had an attendee that heard Steve speak 2 years ago, and he applied some of the things that Steve Cruz taught at the event and was able to double his income in the last 2 years with these techniques that Steve taught. And he you remember how emotional it was when he broke down and told everybody his story.
Yeah.
And the dude went from I'm not going to say his name because I didn't get permission to do so. But he went from about ready to go broke 2 years ago when he first attended our event to now about ready to tip over $1 million. They'll surpass $1 million per year in his dent removal business in Texas, of all places.
That one guy, right? The one that I got all emotional.
Yep. Yeah. The one where he told a story and everybody got emotional about it.
Yeah.
And Jason Hutchinson killed it. And he's the anybody knows him? Jason Huddleston killed it.
You and his last name.
There actually is a Jason Hutchinson, but he's from England. Jason Huddleston.
You and the last name.
Killed it. The dude is very, very knowledgeable about Google specifically, and it was kind of cool. I was able to, because I do the same stuff that he does, and it was kind of cool to vibe with somebody on that level back and forth. And we were able to kind of riff off of each other. And then also we got Lin Tang. He ended up speaking about Facebook ads and advertising.
Yeah.
And again, it was kind of good to see like him and Jason were riffing off of each other through the audience.
Yeah.
And then one of the most important things that happened over the weekend was the end of the day. We had mastermind groups, meaning most of the attendees stepped up. And at the end of the day, we actually held a mastermind meeting with the audience. And I wasn't sure how well that was going to go over, but it was the most laser-focused time that we spent during the entire event.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that the most because, people were able to put their guards down and ask the questions that they really wanted to ask, and everybody was just being really honest and truthful, and there was no judgment. There was no judging going on whatsoever.
And, it was a true mastermind because even the attendees got in on the conversation. And we built these solid, hardcore answers for individuals that wanted to know something specifically inside of their business. And everybody was able to reap the reward out of any of them questions that were asked. So that's definitely something that we're going to keep going. Speaking of that, we actually launched our first mastermind over this weekend. Which all the seats are currently filled right now, so don't ask right yet. We may, once we build the framework around it and continue moving forward, we may open up a couple seats. But we actually did launch our own mastermind with some of the, I'd like to call them the upper 4% of our industry. And there was an income level. You couldn't get into it unless you're at a certain income level. In the future, we might have a lower income level coaching, group coaching or something like that. But this was designed to take people, past the millions and, and that kind of stuff. So, super awesome thing that happened. And we're building that out.
I really enjoyed it. Here's the funny thing though. So on one side of the room, there was a big couch that was broke down, and I was sitting on one part of it, and then there was a middle seat, and then there was the other part of it. Well, no one really sat by me the entire time unless it was a gal that I knew. Dave Fisher sat at the other end, but he sat He wouldn't even get that close to me. And the only person that had the balls enough to actually come over and sit by me was Cole. And that was it. And I'm how come nobody wants to come over and sit by me? I'm thinking I'm not mean. I'm not going to bite you. I mean, I am reserved and I am kind of shy. But once I get to know you, you know what I'm saying?
What is that called? Resting what face?
Resting bitch face?
Maybe that's it.
But does Cole have that though too? Because when you see him though,
does Cole have resting bitch face?
Did
you just ask that? Are you serious? Hey Cole, if you're listening to this, let me know if you have resting bitch face.
He'll get a giggle out of it. But I mean seriously, when you look at him, he looks kind of intimidating.
Yeah,
until you kind of get to know
Cole's
him.
a big dude.
I know.
The funniest thing was the first time I met Cole, I was I knew of Cole Fox and I've seen photos of him online.
Yeah.
But when I seen him, I always envisioned that he was 5'9". I didn't realize he was going to be 6'2", 6'3".
I don't know. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah, that'd be one
guy. Not quite as big as Trey. If you guys haven't met Trey, he is a giant.
It was so funny because the first day, John's hey Trey, go out there and tell everybody to come in. And Trey opens up the door and yells out there. He says the same thing. Okay, so John's okay, he's gonna say blah 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 blah, and John said that right to me.
Yeah, basically he just opened the doors hey, everybody get in here.
Yeah, and
everybody just came on in. Don't make him mad.
Yeah,
It was so funny at the beginning. We tried to keep everybody out of the photo room unless you were getting a fucking photo. Super important because we got equipment everywhere, right? So that was Trey's main job there, was to be a doorman and then also guard the photo room. Yeah. And we warned people that he was authorized to tackle and tickle.
Oh my God. He wasn't there when you said about the tickles. What do you call the painful tickles?
Yeah, very painful tickles. Almost like getting tickled by like 5 talons going into your ribs. That'd be bad.
I don't know.
Thankfully, he only had to do that to one person.
He did not. He didn't have to do that to anybody. I think he just, like, one person went in there to look at the tools, and then he just gave them a look, and then they came back. They were like, oh, I'm not supposed to be in here.
Trey tracked them over there.
I guess.
Made sure they didn't step any further.
I guess.
Super important, though, because, that's the thing. This event, we were able to take more photos than any other event.
Yeah, it went really smooth
that is
for
because
David.
The photographer had his own space.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys seen this, but when we shoot photos, we fucking shoot photos. We bring in full overhead crane fucking systems. I mean, There was like literally, I'm not exaggerating, there was probably $120,000 worth of equipment over there just to take photos, guys. I don't even know what type of equipment Mike has on the videos, but I would say $20,000 worth of video equipment. Yeah. Floating around that area, maybe more. I'm probably light on that.
David is an amazing photographer. So when we were going out there, and then I knew Cole had that Impala, I put this whole outfit thing together with me and John, and wanted David to take some photos of us. And I went through them, and I'm like very, of course, critical of myself. But I think there's like 2 photos, and it's just because like he took them when we were kind of like moving when we weren't supposed to moving, but they turned out so amazing. Yeah, they are amazing. Like, they are so amazing.
Yeah, he did it up. You ought to see him actually line up a photo shoot. He's like literally moving lights an inch at a time to make sure that at the right time that he takes the photos, all of these different strobe lights that he have are all snapping at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. It's all timed now. I mean, this is kind of like, from my understanding, a new technology, but it's something that you connect to your camera and you put together these lights that are so bright, but they snap in like a split of a second. That right when he takes the photo, he's able to not only point them at the subject that they're hitting, but also he's able to cancel out things like certain backgrounds. He's able to change the color of the sky based on the way these lights hit all at the same time. And I mean, a lot of people don't realize some of the photos that we shoot look so cinematic, like the object is lit, the individual is lit, but the surrounding is like dark and really cinematic,
Yeah.
Meaning you're like glowing in the middle of the photo.
Yeah.
That's not Photoshop. That's a straight up fucking picture that's shot in this method, in this way.
Yeah, the ones that I put on Instagram, there's no editing done to them.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. I've actually heard some people before, they were like, well, but other dent guys will have the same photo. Look, man, you're not advertising to fucking other dent guys.
No,
That's the thing. You're not advertising to other dent guys. Get that out. People do some of the dumbest things. Like, they'll say, like, somebody will ask them, or they'll say this on their website, like, we do PDR. Just take a step back and fucking think for a minute, okay? Step out of the world you currently live in and put yourself in the world that clients and customers live in. And you're going to realize that they don't know what the fuck PDR means.
Yeah.
They might think you're saying something...
Who knows?
Sexual.
No.
I do PDR. Who knows, right? But they're like, is that the same thing as a Boston steamer? What about a rusty trombone?
Oh my god. A Boston steamer?
Oh wait, it's called a Cleveland steamer, isn't it?
I think so. Something like that.
A San Francisco waterfall? No, a Hillbilly Waterfall.
Oh my god.
You guys know what that is, don't you?
No, Trey didn't even know what that was.
Ah.
And then when you told him, he was kind of speechless but laughing at the same time.
That's when you meet a She's got to be older. It's got to be somebody's mamaw.
Oh.
Who's a stripper that has one of them... or is a stripper. Still is a stripper. And has one of them trachea things, you know? And she drinks Mountain Dew, and it comes out of the trachea and spews down her titties. Oh, this is so bad.
The way you say titties is horrible.
That's why I told her when we went down that Texas Roadhouse, be like, I'm going to rub that Roadhouse butter all over your titties. We need to come up with a name for that, too. Texas Roadhouse butter titties. Logan Steakhouse butter titties.
No. Didn't you say that when we went to Texas Roadhouse?
I did. I was like, don't worry, girl. We're going to rub that all over your titties later. I'm going to take some of that butter home.
That butter is good. That cinnamon,
It is
cinnamon sugar butter. Oh.
Texas Roadhouse booby job.
Oh my God. Woo! Stop. Oh dear Lord.
Texas Roadhouse. Now that was fucking fun. We ended up getting telling the our waitress that it was Chris Howell's birthday.
But wait a minute, whose idea was that?
It was yours and Charlie Milano's wife. And what's her name?
Adriana.
Yeah. So it was you and Adriana that came up with the idea.
Yeah.
And we ended up
You weren't even down for it.
I was fucking tired.
I know, but you weren't
What
down
can I say, guys? I
at
went
first.
from drinking and doing table hops at bars to not drinking and not being down for saying it's somebody's birthday at Texas Roadhouse. Until I seen Chris Howell over there. And I looked at him and I'm like, that's who we need to do it to.
Yeah.
So I got in at that level. There was two people, either him or Kevin Ferguson from Australia.
Yeah.
Would have been two of the best ones.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see what Kevin would have done too.
Yeah.
But Chris Howell, like he's sitting there going, she comes up and they've got the little chair out that you sit on there and you got to sit on it. Yeah, the saddle. And he's going, it's not my birthday. He's going, it's not my birthday. And she knew. We kind of let her in on it, you know. And we all started chanting, Chris, 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 Chris. And he just said, fuck it. Got up there, sat on that, ate his cake, waved his hat around while the whole place is giving like a Texas Roadhouse yeehaw.
And
it was
Happy
fucking
birthday.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
It was hilarious. It was such a good event, such a good time. Hopefully I didn't make you guys too jealous about not making it.
But then that means
But you guys need to make it next year.
I know, right?
And I'm telling you, if you have been anywhere, if you haven't been hiding under a rock, you've been on Facebook over the last few days, look how many people are talking about this event, how it impacts their life. Yeah. We are finally like seeing the results of years of impact.
Yeah.
So we're seeing people now that went from like, you know, just getting by and they were trying to figure out a way to fucking making it at such a high level.
Yeah. And then they come back and they tell their story and it's just like...
And it's great because we're not coaching them. They're not telling us their story. They just burst out in the middle of these group conversations and tell their story, you know? Yeah. And it was a very surreal experience, and it gave me that validation. You know, you're always looking for that sign that you know you're walking the right path. Yeah. And there's no doubt after this weekend that I know that I'm walking the right path. Yeah. When it comes to this event, because we're changing people's lives. Mm-hmm.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was. It was so good. It was so good. It was really, really good.
Yep. Well, guys, I'm about running out of battery over here, so we're going to be jumping off this podcast, but I did promise you tomorrow I am going to be having a webinar. Hopefully it's not on my personal page. It's on Dent Trainer. And the webinar is going to be talking about how you're going to be able to not only integrate social media into your search engine optimization strategy, but why it's important. I want to kind of lay down the core fundamentals of why it's important. Yeah. And then, you hang out at the very end. I'm actually going to show you one of the most powerful social media management tools that you could possibly get your hands on. It's very reasonable cost to get involved in this tool. It's not something that we created, but it's a tool that's out there. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is now. I'm going to be revealing it at the end of the podcast. So you'll have to hang tight with me, or I'm sorry, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to be revealing it, and that's tomorrow, or actually be tonight. So you're going to be listen to this on Thursday morning. It's going to be tonight.
You should just upload it and release the podcast tonight.
Okay, well then, if you're listening to this on Thursday morning, it's going to be Thursday night. And it's going to be available. It's going to be a webinar specifically about search engine optimization. If you guys haven't watched the first one during the webinar, I'll show you guys where to go watch that. Or you can go back. But it doesn't matter. You don't have to watch the first one first. You can. I kind of made these to where you can piece them all together any way that you want. Okay? And the cool thing is, with the knowledge that I'm going to be dropping, if you only get half of it right, you're going to be ahead of the game. I would go as far to say if you get 20% of it right, you would be ahead of almost every one of your competitors in your market. It's fucking crazy how untapped right now the market is when it comes to paintless dent removal. I analyze markets. When we launch a website in a market, I analyze that market and I look into everything.
Yeah.
Like I've got tools that I can plug into somebody's website and find out everything that they've been doing for the existence of that domain name.
Yeah. And
because of that, I get an overall view, and the only thing that's keeping certain websites at the top is the age of the domain. On the majority of it, and that is something that can easily be hurdled over and could take a brand new website, and with some strategic steps, over 6 months, you could be at the top of the page.
That's not that long.
It's not that long for a fucking huge return on your investment.
Yep.
But you guys got to be willing to do the work. That's the key. So, or let us do some of the work, and then I teach you how to do the rest of the work. That's it. That's the key, okay?
Yep.
Anyhow, y'all, thank you for coming along on this Tactical Dent Tech podcast.
You sound so professional.
And you guys will have to talk to Davey Janowski next week.
And remember, it's all about the motherfucking hustle.
We're going to see you on the next one. Pew, pew.
Bang, bang.